thing that doesn't often get mentioned in discussions of reapportionment is that how it has quite an emotional impact, I think, on both the constituents who are used to being represented with another neighbourhood and suddenly find themselves in a completely differently shaped district. And also for us, the representatives. For me, the system has worked in the sense that in the 2010 election, I walked and knocked on thousands and thousands of doors in the current House District 3, and it's astonishing how that, and I think this is the way it's supposed to work, it gives you a real bond with those neighbourhoods you walk through and talk to so many neighbours. And I feel that I represent this area. These are my neighbours, and I am told now that I'm no longer going to represent the folks that live around here, and that's it's emotionally a bit of a separation. It's a bit of a wrench. It's like losing part of your family, and that's just something that's not very often pointed out. And I thought that I'd just mention that. Now, as to the technicalities for House District 3. As Mr. Barry mentioned, House District 3, if it is instituted as written, will be a fairly simple and easy to understand change. All the Denver precincts in House District 3 will no longer be in House District 3. And House District 3, which in Arapahoe County has Cherry Hills Village and part of Englewood, will acquire the rest of Englewood that it doesn't already have. So if the map goes through and you're from Englewood, any part of Englewood, you'll be in House District 3 in the new House District. And it also, House District 3 acquires all of Greenwood Village, none of which is in House District 3 now. All of Sheridan, none of which is in House District 3 now. And so, and a small area southeast of Cherry Creek Reservoir called Sagebrush Park, if the map is adopted as proposed now, will also go into House District 3, and that's just a small area with a few hundred people, but it will make the numbers up. Now, one of the reasons that all of the Denver precincts are likely to be gone, and one of the reasons that I, despite being unhappy about that, have not fought it tooth and nail, and I haven't, is because the average the House districts have to be 77,300 people strong. And there just happen to be almost exactly 8 times 77,300 people in Denver County. And that's just an accident of arithmetic. And so it's hard to make the case that Denver County should not be represented by 8 House districts within the county. Having said that, there are strong arguments to be made for an area in Denver Tech Center to be part of the Arapahoe County District, in my opinion, and that's something that will be discussed. The last thing I should say is a little bit of politics on this. My House District now, House District 3, is predominantly is a left-leaning or a Democratic-leaning district. The new House District, if you look at the raw numbers, will be almost exactly a 50-50 district. If you look by past voting patterns or you look by registration, the registration between Republicans and Democrats is about the same. So politically this is a change of reality. And my position is this. I welcome that. I'm quite ready to make my case to those who have not always voted Democratic in the past, and I'm ready to make the case that they should continue to be represented by me, whether or not I'm a Democrat or a Republican. And one of the things that I firmly believe is that party identification for most people is far less sticky, far less of a determinant than it has been in years past. Now I know I probably don't speak for everybody here, but I'm talking about the less politically active people in the greater Denver metro area do not adhere to party identification so much as they did 10, 20, 30 years ago. And so I intend to make the case that I will represent all the people of House District 3 well, and I hope that that case will be accepted and that I'll be able to represent House District 3 in the future. But I very much regret that I will not be representing South Central Denver, a place I've grown to love, and that's just the facts of the matter. So thank you, and that's all I have to say.
Sorry?
You were talking about who will represent your area since he's not here.
Who will represent
Mark Ferrandino.
Ferrandino was close.
Not the closing. Representing the areas of South Central Denver that I did not, that I represent now but will not represent after the next election, will be, in all likelihood, Representative Mark Ferrandino. And I don't want to dwell on this for long because there's a lot of people here who would like to speak, and I don't want to monopolize things, but let me just tell you that Mark Ferrandino is a friend of mine and somebody I've worked with extraordinarily closely. He's a member of the Joint Budget Committee and is one of the leaders of the Democratic caucus in the House of Representatives, and he is an absolutely fantastic state representative. And you could not wish for better than Mark. So if it turns out, as is likely, that Mark represents South Central Denver after the next election, you will be in wonderfully good hands. He's a tremendous representative. His heart is in the right place and he's got a brain that never stops. He understands the budget better than anybody, and he understands how the budget affects real people and cares about it more than anybody. So he's going to be a great representative.